Right, okay. Is there a question that anyone wants to ask that I won't be able to hear? You'll have to shout really loudly. Yeah, 44 minutes, too much. You can ask, yeah.
Sea devils?
The answer is yes, they do.
Loads of other creatures. He's another creature.
I am an alien.
He's an alien.
I'm a real human that plays an alien, as opposed to an alien that plays Jenwt Filelding. Oh.
Yeah.
She started it this morning. All right, she started.
That's just the kind of thinking that thought it was appropriate to dump British convicts on Australian soil. You know, we're not aliens, we're Australians.
We emptied our prisons and our insane asylums and we sent them all to Australia, and look what happened.
I know. We've got a happy, healthy, wonderful lifestyle.
Yeah, that's why Jenwt lives here. All right, okay, right. That's another question, sorry.
Right, I'm going to ask the next.
And John Nathan Turner, who was the producer, said, we need to have something that makes it a little bit different. You know, so Tom had the scarf, and so I said, well, that's absolutely fine. And then he came to me about 2 or 3 days before we started filming and said, I've had a great idea. You should have a stick of celery on your lapel. And I said, great, why? And he said, I've no idea. So I said, as long as you explain it before I leave, that's fine with me. And so when we make the 3 seasons, and literally as we get to the last story, I remind him that he has not explained why I am wearing a stick of celery on my lapel. So Eric Saywood, the script editor, quickly wrote a scene in which he invented the fact that the celery made the Doctor immune to certain gases that were around on certain planets and would kill him. And he told me this, Eric told me, he was sitting in front of the typewriter thinking, what can I call the gases that the Doctor's allergic to? And he looked down and the name of his typewriter was Praxis. So he just wrote that in the script. So he says, the Doctor is allergic to the gases in the Praxis range, and if these gases are around, he can eat the celery and he saves his life. But in the event, at the end of Caves Antizani, I decided not to save my own life, and I turned into Colin Baker, which is a fate worse than death, really. So,
I'm saying nothing. Nothing.
What you have of working with Graham Crowden?
Oh, Graham Crowden. Yes, that was a very peculiar practice, a series called A Very Peculiar Practice. He was extraordinary, and he was fantastic in that part. But he tended to, I remember the director saying, his main job was to keep Graham Crowden's performance under a certain level, because he got a bit big sometimes, because he'd just been doing a comedy series. But when he was on form, Graham Crowden, he was absolutely brilliant. He said an extraordinary thing, he would have a glass of, he was meant to be a big whiskey drinker in the series. And he would do this thing, he'd have a full tumbler of whiskey, and he'd just like throw it down his throat, just like that. My main memory is not what strikes me is, anyway, he was lovely, he was wonderful.
Is another online one, and it's for you, Janet. That's not the question for you, Janet. Where do I buy your cosplay from Power of the Doctor?
So I'm being asked, where can I buy the coat I wore in Power of the Doctor? That's a question from you, isn't it? And the answer is, it's a shop in the Cotswolds, and it's called something like Moloch, M-O-L-O-H, which actually is a great name for a monster. Moloch, I think it's Moloch, M-O-L-O-H. Actually, I might, yeah, that's a great name for a monster. Moloch, M-O-L-O-H. Oh, I think. So, yeah.
Question for Peter. Is it true that you went into acting because in the civil service they were going to look at your O-level certificates and you hadn't quite got the grades?
That is partially true. What happened was I became an actor and I worked in theatre for about a year and I did one telly for Tomorrow People and I decided I want to do more telly. So then I was unemployed for about 2 years and I got a job, temporary job, in the civil service, in the tax office, and as it was a temporary job, you just had to list what your exams were. So I wrote that I had all these GCEs, and then as time went on, I quite enjoyed working in the tax office, and they said to me, if you join properly, you can make your way up to a technical inspector, what they call a technical inspector, who would examine all the, inflated incomes of actors and people like that. Anyway, so I thought this was actually a good idea. I wasn't getting any acting work. And so I got the form and I filled it in all the way down to where it said, name your GCEs and produce the certificates. And I thought, oh my God, I lied. I'd forgotten I'd lied. And so I had to go in the next morning and say, I'm sorry, I've changed my mind. I really want to be an actor. But then miraculously, I did actually get a job about a couple of months later. So I left and did Love for Lydia, and that was it. Yeah, so in a way, that story is absolutely true.
Yeah. What was your favourite moment on the set of Doctor Who? And if you could play a different character, who would you choose?
He knows. My favourite moment on Doctor Who was on Power of the Doctor. And the reason
Hang
was...
on, you can't say that.
I
all
can.
the years we worked
Excuse
together,
me.
your favourite moment was the power of the Doctor.
Excuse me, but when you're asked,
Yeah.
you say, my favourite story is the only one that I wasn't in.
Well, obviously making it one of the best stories. Yes, go on. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is the completely, I mean, at least...
And B, when he's asked who his favourite companion is, he says Billy Piper.
No, I did say that, yeah. No,
In
but
all
you see,
fairness,
listen,
I say that too.
Tell me.
However...
Yeah, exactly right.
Shut up. Just be quiet.
So what you're saying is you're just saying this.
No, and the reason
to
why...
be bullshit.
No, the reason is I was asked what was your happiest moment on, or favourite moment on a set. And it was when we were filming in Cardiff, the crew knew that we had a sort of love-hate relationship. And so, to wind Peter up, Jodie had finished filming and she had this huge Winnebago with a bathroom, a kitchen, a dining room and a bedroom. And they gave me Jodie's Winnebago and they put Peter and the other doctors in a little three-way. So they were sharing this small little three-way. And it was a great wind-up. Anyway, that was my favourite moment. Then I got back from lunch to go and rest in my Winnebago, and he'd had them made an eviction sign for me.
Yeah. That was probably my favourite moment. No, but don't tell me, you did, I mean, look, you had all those wonderful things like...
Like what?
Martin Clunes in a toga. Come on.
Oh.
We had, I was asked this morning what was the favourite one to make, and I said, probably the worst story, Time Flight.
Time Flight.
Because it was just...
Because we filmed on Concorde.
We filmed on Concorde, but also we had this ridiculous set with a model of Concorde in the back, and we would just spend most of the time laughing.
There was a lot of laughter, a lot of laughter. And if I couldn't have played Tegan, who would I have played? The Doctor.
Oh, that's never going to work.
Your turn.
Well, I've already said my favourite story.
Yeah, but you haven't said who you played.
Oh, who would I play?
If you weren't playing the Doctor, who would you play?
Chief Cyberman.
Chief Cyberman?
Yeah.
The costume's really uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's very true, it is.
And you can't go to the loo.
Well, I don't look that far ahead, you know, just it's a nice character. Because you're just terrible. And
You're the Doctor,
talking
you
to
should be
people.
looking far
All right,
ahead.
well, it'd be the Master then, wouldn't it? Because he can be nice and evil.
Yeah. Yes, the Master, actually the
I could
Master
have
is...
tortured Matthew Waterhouse even more
Yeah.
if I'd been the Master.
Yeah. The Master's cracker of a part, actually.
Do you have any fond memories of filming Dimensions in Time, the anniversary special in the 90s?
Oh, was that the EastEnders one? What was that, the EastEnders one?
Which one was it?
Was that the EastEnders one? EastEnders, yeah. I had no idea what that was about. You know what it was about? I defy anyone to tell me what the idea behind Dimensions in Time was. It made absolutely no sense at all. It was nonsense from beginning to end. So, do I have any fond memories? No, I just remember they had this weird idea that it was some kind of 3D. And so the camera was running around us in circles the whole time. Because that's the only way it would make it look like it was 3D, a little bit. So it wasn't really my favourite. You know, it just seemed a strangely odd combination of Doctor Who and EastEnders.
I don't know, I wasn't in it. Can't have been that good.
Were you not in it? Oh, that's why I didn't like it, because Janet wasn't in it.
Who's your favourite Doctor Who actor?
Apart from myself. I wouldn't even put myself up there at all. I think, you know, the Doctor Who which resonated with me most was Patrick Troughton when I took over, because, and I think this is generally agreed among the older Doctors, that he was the reason why Doctor Who lasted so long. You know, William Hartnell had done it for 3 seasons, he was getting ill, and he couldn't really continue, and so they looked around for someone to take over. And when I remember when I heard that someone else was taking over, it sounded like a terrible idea to me. And I really thought, so I watched that first Patrick Troughton story, kind of wanting to hate it, but he just managed to win people over with this kind of unique brand of, he was like the Doctor, and yet he was utterly different from William Hartnell. You know, he was vulnerable and he was slightly bemused by everything. So when I got to do it, a few years later, I very much had in mind Patrick Troughton's Doctor in terms of just that kind of empathetic side of his character.
If you ask me, and we're not talking about leaving the Doctors out of it, listen, I've got to drive him to Leicester tonight because we're doing another fan convention. So, you know, I need to be a bit tactful. Not too tactful, because, you know, but I've got 3 hours in the car with him. Anyway, so, other than the Doctors, in the modern series, I think my favourite would be Sacha Dhawan. Because his master is so unhinged.
But he wasn't a doctor, was he?
I said, who wasn't the Doctor?
That's not answering the question. I'm sorry, I must press you on answering the question that was asked.
You could end up walking to Leicester. It is possible.
Dear, oh dear. All right.
I was just thinking of the Master, and my most wanted person to play the Master is David Thewlis, because he has that naturally creepy and that dark tone to him. So my question to you is, although Sacha Dhawan is your favourite Master, who would you most like to cast in that role?
Master. Aside from Sasha. Well, that's a good question. Depends which way you want to go. I don't know. I really don't want. I think it might be going to go in a Matt Smithy type direction. So an actor who's quite young, and quite volatile. And I'm trying to think of somebody off the top of my head. Young and volatile. That leaves you out. The young part disqualifies you.
I don't think that's true. Are you being ageist?
Yeah. Because he's older than me. 2 years.
Advice for a young actor, totally not me, who's looking for an agent, or any advice on like how to get an agent or into a career in acting?
Finding an agent? Oh my goodness me. Finding an agent. Well, I nowadays it's such a different world than when I was an actor, you know. So you basically will have to do any kind of theatre work you can, any kind of fringe work, any local pub theatres. My son was up in Edinburgh this year, you know, without 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So you're just doing it for nothing and hoping that will somehow get you seen. There's no easy answer to that, because, you know, if there are many people who purport to be agents out there who will sign you up perhaps and then not actually get you sent up for anything, or they'll just add your name to a list. Does that thing still exist where PCR, where people used to get the...
No, well, I don't know, because I'm not an agent anymore.
No, but...
So I don't know.
So I think there's no easy route to this. Just do whatever work you can, even if it means...
Your agent is only going to be as good as whatever you give her or him sell you on. Because it's selling you on to somebody. If they've got nothing to sell, or they don't, and also an agent has to see you work. And I know that as an agent, you used to get, because I was Paul McGann's agent, for instance, and Simon Callow, Paul McGann, lots of people, and people used to think, oh, it'd be wonderful to do a one-man show and then all the casting directors will come and they'll see me and I'll be wonderful. No, they want to see as many people at once as they can. And you've got plenty of casting directors now based in Manchester. And it's busy in Manchester now.
Have you started filming any behind-the-scene things for season 21, like any more road trips or location things?
Road trips. Well, talking of road trips.
Yeah.
This morning.
Oh, here we go. He was supposed to be navigating that damned roundabout down there. Honestly, put me in the wrong...
She was driving like a lunatic.
I was not driving
She's in
like
this
a lunatic.
little Mazda.
I was doing
and
25 miles an hour.
What?
I was doing 25 miles an hour.
No, you were not.
You were dozing.
Pulling away, and then you went round this corner.
2 inches from the hotel.
We
I
were
was,
in
do we
the wrong
turn
lane,
left
so
or do we
Jenwt
turn
had-
right? He goes, really?
No, I said I think it's all right to be in this lane because you couldn't see on the navigation that it was a divided lane, and then you tried to drive over the curb.
I did not.
I said.
And then you put me in the wrong lane.
Why isn't there a camera in this car right now?
It was like this all the way to Kassel in Germany. All the way to Kassel in Germany. He had a meltdown.
I did not have a meltdown.
You had a meltdown.
I was being picked on.
You were not being picked on.
by two aggressive women having a go at somebody.
Hands up, who thinks that Sarah Sutton could possibly be aggressive?
What?
Put your hand down, for God's sake.
Nothing but charming.
She isn't, but I am.